Feels good out here again. Good morning, Ruby. It's not any earlier today than it was yesterday, but at least there aren't any exams today. As a matter of fact, today is the middle school moving up to high school ceremony and awards end of year honor roll ceremony, which Don and I will be going to later, which is why Johnny is all dressed up. But I have it on good authority that later on today, they'll have their high school green and gold stripe tie on. That's right, they're moving on up. Bye, buddy. We'll see you at the awards ceremony.
All right, bye.
Love you. Bye. I'm guessing there might be some sort of awards going on this morning, too, right after drop-off, because there's a bunch more cars here than normal. Johnny was late, but he said, bus 2 minutes late, but he said the door was still open. Actually, they sort of tend to close the door early because school doesn't really start until 7:35. But I totally get that they want kids in place at 7:30 so they can actually start at 7:35. Doing my best here. Pulling in here at the church where I usually stop for a minute. I've got to call the vet and get them to fill Kitty's thyroid medicine prescription so I can stop on my way back through and pick it up. They'll be happier with me if I call in advance. Caught a shiny APOM over here at the church Pokestops, and so Michelle will have one now. I'll have to trade it to her if she doesn't get one before the end of the event, which I think is tomorrow. Called in the prescription to the vet. It won't be ready before 9, so I'm not sure if I'm going to grab it this morning or later in the day now. The vet's got to sign off on it, and they aren't in early this morning. And I'm ready to drive back to Fuquay now. It's supposed to be in the 80s today, and they're still talking 90 Saturday, heat index, you know, sort of approaching mid-90s. And also dry for the rest of the month, so hot and dry, some sort of a ridge setting up over the southeast. Not exactly the news I would have liked to have heard about the weather. Don't want pouring down rain, but you know, a few days at 75, 80 degrees would be nice here before we go straight to summer heat and humidity. I'm here at the vet's picking up Kitty's medicine, and Jojo the cat remembers me and is allowing me to give her affection this morning. It's so cute. Well, Don and I are back in Ruby. It's about 11:30 a.m. We're headed to the school for the awards ceremony. I know Johnny's going to be glad that the school year is continuing to wind down and that he'll get to leave with us. I think, though, the award ceremony is going to end right basically at the end of the day, so it's not like I'm going to have to take him out early. So Don was over here talking to me, rattling off is what I was going to say, but I caught myself, about how hard it is to maintain multiple levels of the same or similar software.
Yeah, when I was first started with IBM, we would get these mechanical replacements in these machines. These were data processing card punch type machines. We'd get them in, and you'd get 2 of them in and they'd look identical. They'd be all nice and clean because they'd been refurbished. And you'd look at the engineering changes list, the BOM that come with it, and one of them would have 2 pages of engineering changes, and the other one would only have a half a page. And yet they looked identical, but you know, from you as a person, you could not have told which one had which engineering changes without just by looking at it. You had to use the paperwork trail that came with the machine. And IBM, this was all the way, you know, this goes back into the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. You know, they kept track of all of this stuff. What I'm trying to get at is now Tesla has just announced they're changing the BMS and existing S's and X's for preponderance of safety. That has something to do with these spontaneous battery fires. And what I'm getting at is that, you know, they're getting all these different cars at all these different levels, and they got so many combinations now, it's going to get trickier and trickier down the road to continue to support all these cars. So I guess where I'm going with is, I wonder how much longer some of these really older cars, especially the ones that don't even have autopilot on them, how long they're going to continue to get over-the-air updates. Because, you know, even Google Chrome and Chromebooks now, they've announced their official end-of-life policy. My 2015 laptop, Chromebook, that's actually a Google Chromebook, it's made by Google, they've announced that I'm only going to get software updates through June of 2020. So it basically had a 5, maybe 6-year lifespan. But I just bought a Google Pixel 3a phone yesterday. It'll be here next week. But Google was explicit, said that I'm going to get software updates for 3 years. So I wonder if there's going to be an announcement in Tesla's near future about cars made before a certain date no longer to get software updates, because remember, the original battery warranty was 8 years unlimited mileage. Well, those 2012 cars, they're going to be going out in 2020. So we're not, you know, maybe this is maybe a year sooner than it needs to be, but that I'm bringing this up. But certainly this time next year, there's probably going to have to be some kind of announcement from Tesla about what their strategy is for over-the-air updates going forward.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly could be where they would maybe say that they're not going to support cars with software older than 8 years, or that don't even have autopilot on them or something, except for an emergency fix.
Oh, right.
Because that's kind of like what we did at IBM.
Well,
we would,
yeah.
Everything would go out of service, and then at a certain, after so many, like we only would keep, what, 2 or 3 releases in service at the same time?
Right.
And so if a new one came out, that meant another one had to go end of life. And the only thing that got us to make a change is if there was some sort of a security emergency,
right,
or we had a customer with enough money to pay us.
Pretty much.
Extra money.
Right. Well, it's, you know, Microsoft's it's doing
They're all the same way. All of them, technology companies. Apple does it. I mean, everybody does it.
Well, remember this time last year when Tesla announced that free data would only come with the premium cars, that if you bought the non-performance, I think, or the non-dual motor, the long-range cars, they wouldn't have data but for a year. Well, we're coming up on that year, and I haven't heard any more announcement about that. You know, hopefully for the owners, they'll continue to get premium data for a while yet. In fact, maybe this Starlink thing that's going up here today or tomorrow, maybe that has something to do with Tesla's wanting to announce a new method or new data plan for their cars. I mean, maybe Starlink is integral to Tesla's data plan, because right now I think I think Tesla uses like AT&T in the U.S. and other companies elsewhere in the world. But you know, I could see data. I mean, if you're gonna, why would Tesla buy data from AT&T when they've got Starlink? We'll see.
Being a passenger today, I'm definitely getting a bird's eye view of what's going on up there with the crane and the building construction. That's a great view out the top of the Model X. So I was thinking today that Johnny and I have at most 3 more trips in and out of downtown Raleigh, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday, and then we're off for the summer until like the first week in August. Johnny gets out early and he goes back really early. And I wondered if there was anything I hadn't covered during the school year about driving the Tesla in commute traffic or downtown Raleigh, or anything along those lines that any of you had wondered about that I hadn't covered, because I got 3 more days left to cover it before the end of this year, before it would, you know, fall under next year. So if there is, let me know. All right, here's Dawn, who's much braver than me, parallel parking.
Auto park's doing
Auto park, that's what I meant. Yep, the car's doing all the work here.
I was like, so what's the problem?
I know. It just freaks me out going backward and not doing anything. I've really got to get over it. It's totally my problem. Ruby has demonstrated a minimum of 10 times with Dawn at the wheel that she can parallel park very well. So the kids have got to sit up here at the front, and they have a name on their chair. I think they can handle that. So the chairs over there have the ties for the tie ceremony. Middle school students here wear a green tie on Wednesdays. High school students wear a green and gold striped tie. So all of the rising 9th graders are going to get their high school tie today. This is for Robotics Club.
The next award sheet has taught the boys how to program, how to code, everything that I don't know. She's going to talk me through things, and it just takes a special parent to come in every week and spend her time, her personal items to come in and teach them how to build. So I like to present this to Mary and Miller.
Oh.
There's the girl. There she is. That's my girl.
It's time to remove the old tie. Even the donuts are green and gold. Congratulations, buddy. We're proud of you.
Thank you, Mom.
I love my card. It says thanks from the whole bunch on the outside, and on the inside it's signed by all the students, and it says we're eternally grateful. Aww. And there was a gift card, which of course will go for more Lego robotics stuff. So what all the construction was is they put overhead here so that the kids standing out aren't in the weather all the time. Looks pretty good. So Dawn had a chance to talk to Jim Martin, Dr. Jim Martin.
Oh, right.
Who is the chair of the Wake County Board of Education. He came to the ceremony today and spoke to the kids. And you talked to him about, you got to chat with him on 2 subjects, right?
Yeah, I asked him 2 questions. First question was the likelihood of WYMLA, Wake Young Men's Leadership Academy, is it going to continue to exist? And Dr. Martin said, well, he himself was not personally in favor of gender-based schools. He, however, the decision for the 2 leadership schools was made before he came into on the board, and so that decision had already been made, and he shared that he was unaware of any efforts to discontinue or stop them. He said that the early college magnet type schools, which WYMLA is one of them, are doing very well, very popular. So he didn't see any reason why we should have any concerns that Johnny wouldn't be able to complete the next 4 years at WYMLA. So that was good. And the other question was I asked was about textbooks. And he's Dr. Martin's a chemistry professor at NC State, and he said, he totally understands the internet, electronic, digital types of books and learning, but he feels that textbooks are actually, especially in certain core subjects like chemistry and math, they're really important to have textbooks, but there is nothing in the budget for textbooks. That basically they license the type of course materials they have today, and there's no money left over for any type of textbooks, and to switch back to textbooks would be something it's not in the budget, and likely the taxpayers would not come up with the money. Although he himself would like to see textbooks for the core subjects, and also that he felt that textbooks, he specifically said he was confident that if you took a textbook from 1935, chemistry textbook, it'd be just fine to teach today's kids. That you do not need buy new textbooks every year, that it's nothing wrong with a math or a chemistry or certain core subjects, those textbooks 10 years or more, using them. There's no reason to change them every year, and it's the churn to change them every year is what costs all the money. So anyway, I didn't get a chance to ask the third question because there was other people who wanted to talk to him, but I definitely wanted to point out that the best way that we could do to improve education is just open up the schools, make sure the schools are open.
Very funny. Yeah, Don's not a big fan of teacher work days, traditional holidays, hanging out at the end of the school year after all the testing is done, doing the test like early enough to have a couple of spare days. Don's not in favor of any of those.
Yeah, I want to let be
extending the school year and the school day be just fine with Don, though.
That's right. Well, look what we've got for supper. We've got meatballs with spaghetti squash.
It's Taekwondo time. I'm wearing down that path back and forth in and out of Walmart again. Just give me something to do while Johnny's at Taekwondo. Well, those are some beautiful hanging baskets. You know, I don't remember seeing this variety last year, but I really like it. There are a lot of clearance plants to look at today. They continue to make good progress, but this is how crowded one of the main walkways is. No plants, just a couple of storage containers. Some Model S with white seats here at the Taekwondo studio tonight, or at Planet Fitness or the nail shop. We traveled 95, almost 96 miles today. I realized I hadn't checked out the new games available to Ruby. I really should do that. Well, I'm not entirely sure I understand this 2048 game. This is not a game that I played back in the day, but it does have my attention and is pretty interesting. Even if I don't entirely know what I'm doing. Oh God, I think I'm out of moves now. Right? I can't do any other moves maybe? I don't know. Game over. I didn't get 2048, but I did get 1024.